songs, let me tell you about a friend. It's Craig LeBlanc where the good times never end. Talking Parks and Rec, it's a show you gotta know. Welcome one and all to the Daily Parks and Rec Show. It's the Daily Parks and Rec Show.
Your pool for collaboration is a lot smaller than, say a rec department where there's a dozen, different employees in it, and that's at every, agency. It's nice to have those opportunities to, do the social networking, to then say, hey, we're thinking about doing this, a policy update. And it's like, oh, we just did that. It's like, would you be able to share? So it's having those connections, having those education sessions that will help you, go into and reinvigorate and revitalize what you're going to be doing when we go back into the office on Monday.
All right, we are live again, second day at IRPA 2026. We have a special guest. We have one of the rare, few, and coveted accounting minds of Parks and Rec, which we need more of y'all to have influence over this industry, because if you can't pay the bills, it's hard to have any type of park system. But how's your convention going so far, Jamie?
It's really good.
Fantastic.
Day 2's off to a good start.
Yes, it's such a big convention. This is my first time here at this one. Have you been before?
Yeah, my first time was last year.
Oh, okay. Well, now you're a veteran, officially.
Apparently.
All right, before we get too far, I want to give a big shout out to Outdoor Link. They're helping cities to become smart cities, just like you have these smart homes and you're able to turn your lights off and on with the flip of an iPhone app. You can do the same thing for your entire park system. So baseball field lights, splash pads, even bathroom door locks are all connected. So imagine having your whole city interconnected. It's such an efficient way to run a city, but also it's a lot safer and you get a lot more data. So amazing, amazing company. So Joby, why don't you go ahead and play that promo for Outdoor Link, and we'll come back and start our conversation with Jamie.
In today's parks and recreation industry, communication, safety, and efficiency go hand in hand. That's where Outdoor Link comes in, delivering smart technology that empowers city departments and community planners to do more, smarter. Outdoor Link's platform connects and automates everything that keeps your parks running smoothly, from lighting and locks to signage, water features, Wi-Fi, and digital advertising. Control and schedule park lights for safety and energy savings. Remotely manage facility access. Update digital displays in real time. Coordinate fountains and splash pads. Provide public connectivity. And even run community or sponsorship campaigns on digital screens. All from one simple, unified platform, giving you real-time control, data, and cost efficiency. For parks and recreation agencies, that means safer spaces, smarter resource use, faster responses, and stronger community engagement. And behind every great park story is great infrastructure. That's why Outdoor Link proudly supports DPRS Media Company, helping the Daily Parks and Rec Show amplify the voices of professionals shaping our communities every day. Outdoor Link, smart, connected solutions for parks, recreation, and beyond.
All right, and also a big shout out to Amelia. Them and Outdoor Link are big sponsors for the Daily Parks and Rec Show, and I'm just blown away by the ever-increasing technology that is leveraged in parks. How have you seen technology and accounting software just balloon in these last few years as far as the accounting side of Parks and Recreation, Jamie?
So I think it's an amazing advancement. You would go from the big Laserfiche printers all the way to finally doing like automated, all of your like AP is all digitized, and you can go in and quickly find, an expenditure from years ago versus pulling out the old books and having to go through paper and trying to find that one transaction. It's just made, I feel like everyone on like the finance side of parks, it streamlines their day to day in ways that it frees up time for us to be able to focus on other things.
Fantastic. Now, what have you seen as far as just collecting data? What's the data that you're trying to collect and maybe utilize as you're trying to put together the financial structure for a park system?
Honestly, it's looking at it from the top to the bottom to the top, left, right to left, because you need to look at the picture of the park as a whole. It's not just one thing, because what is about finances, it touches every department, every full-time to part-time to seasonal. So you really have to look at everything. So it's not just wages. It's not just product or equipment that's used to, mow the grass, or, for the rec department to have programs. It's looking at indirect costs, which a lot of people kind of slip their minds. It's what keeps the water, what keeps the lights on, everything like that. You have to look in future forecasts for maintenance, potential projects that are, 2, 3, 4 years out that are not at the forefront of your brain, but you need to be able to start thinking about it so you can start slating it in as you're looking at everything from a whole. Be like, we work within a constrained budget, and you have to just see where things fit so you can make everything in your operations and be able to serve your patrons and your residents with, the most maximizing of their dollars.
Yeah. Now, a lot of times when we think about a career in Parks and Rec, we're thinking about maybe coaching or running a special event or maybe being a director, but we don't think about all the other skill sets that it takes to run a city's Parks and Rec department. And here you are, an accountant or with an accounting mindset. What kind of attracted you to this industry?
So I've always been involved in parks. I actually, when I was a teenager, working in a park district was my first job. And from there, I worked my way up. And then I really enjoyed working with and for the public. So in my entire career, I've worked in all aspects of almost local government, from park districts to school districts to municipalities, and now back to parks. And I like to do my best in transcending the stereotypes of finance and HR. I like to be out in, the programs and make those connections, or pop into our fitness center just to see, not just the people who are utilizing the facility, but the part-time staff that typically don't get a whole lot of face time with full-time staff, just because, it may not be, some area that you oversee. So I really try to pride myself in making those connections to where finance and HR is not a stigma.
Now, I know a lot of times you may see an obvious pothole or landmine because you have the lens of an accounting mind on Parks and Rec. What are some of the common mistakes that you think Parks and Rec departments make when it comes to accounting?
I honestly feel like the biggest mistake that I've seen is that indirect cost, because it's the hidden thing that you're not thinking of because you go to work and the lights are already on. We already have running water. But as utilities in the volatile environment we're in right now, utilities are going up. So it's needing to make sure that we're pricing our programs from, from, our rec programs to our, passes that we offer, to making sure that we're calculating all that in, because that is how we continue to keep, the programs as good as they are and offer as many things as we do. Is you have to keep, that small piece, which is really a big piece, at the forefront of your brain when you're in, the finance department.
Now, how did you find yourself in Parks and Rec industry? Were you like a park rat growing up and just grew up in Parks and Rec, or is this something you discovered later in life? And then on to what did you pursue in college as your degree?
So I never attended camp or anything like that. But right out of grade school, so K through 8, my first job was in parks. So I was a down ref for volleyball. I did scorekeeping for basketball. I would work the gate for admissions. And then from there, as that was, my high school job, give you some pocket money. From there, when I went into college, I continued to stay at the park district, and I became just a supervisor for the other now, high school aged kids. And from there, I really enjoyed the finance aspect of it. So I attended St. Xavier University, and I received my degree in communications and business administration. So I felt like I had a little aspect of the business side of it, all the accounting behind it, and also the communication side of it. So where I'm able to pull in that HR aspect, I'm able to kind of be multifaceted and, be able to speak with ease in front of people, give presentations without any hesitation or worry. And so I continued to work my way at the park district that I was at until I decided that, I wanted to challenge myself. So then I took on a position in a school district, and I was in the finance office and worked on grants, so federal money for the schools for all the different programs. I did some grant writing while I was there to really kind of diversify my skills. And then from there, I transitioned into municipality. I worked for a village for a decade. And there it was a unique situation to where I did all the fiscal responsibilities, but I also helped many other departments. So I got to see a lot of different departments that you typically, are not familiar with or would not typically get that involvement with, being on the finance side of things. And then I left there because I just wanted another challenge. So then I found myself looking in Grange, and I'm so grateful that, that connection was made, and, we're here. So
yeah. Now, where do you see yourself in the next 5 or 10 years? Do you want to stay kind of on the accounting, HR, fundraising, or grant writing side, or would you like to maybe step up to maybe an executive director of some sort?
I would say in the next 3 to 5 years, I'm comfortable where I'm at, and kind of still working on the nuances and trying to improve the best that I can, at the agency that I'm with. Beyond the 5 years, I definitely could see myself stepping into a more executive level, executive director position.
Now, one of the issues that we have in the Parks and Rec community is reaching out to that next wave of leaders and in the college classroom. What do you think we can do better to kind of raise the Parks and Rec industry out of this discovery major and into a major that people may want to pursue even from high school and college?
I honestly think it all goes back to us professionals in the field doing those in-person reach outs, whether it's to your alma mater or to, maybe if it's a university that is in your neighborhood, making those connections, because unfortunately, they don't typically happen inorganically. You have to do something in order to make those connections. So, by reaching out and saying, I'd love an opportunity if you have a career fair to come out and speak to, the students of this school as an alumnus or things like that. I feel like that can help show them what they're not seeing on a computer screen or on paper. I don't know that they do paper anymore.
Yeah.
But I feel like it makes it personal. And I feel like when you make things personal is when you get the buy-in. So you start to gain that interest.
Yeah, and we're trying to encourage more Parks and Rec departments to do more internship programs where college kids can come spend maybe 3 months in a Parks and Rec department in each of the different departments of a rec department and kind of get a taste of what it's like to work for it. And unfortunately, we do have a YPN show. It's a weekly show, all for young professionals, every Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern. It's run by our interns that work for DPRS Media Company. But I wonder why a lot of other Parks and Rec departments aren't utilizing the internship model to bring people closer to it. Is that something you've ever experienced?
So the discipline that I studied, so with business and communications, it was a requirement. So it was whether you thought you were headed that way or not, if that was your track for, your education, that was something that you needed to do in order to graduate. So I'm just not sure why we're in this field not getting as much interest, like I said, but I honestly think, we do need some of those fresh minds and those new eyes in the field to bring all the ideas that, maybe are something in that generation that we're not thinking about now because it's a little far out of our reach at the moment. So,
well, one thing we made to try to raise awareness around why Parks and Rec is so important to its community. Unfortunately, during COVID, that Parks and Rec got put in this bucket of non-essential, like we think about our fire and police and healthcare. So we created this video. It's free on our YouTube channel for anyone to use. Our hopes aspirationally that it would be played in front of every elected official that has control over funding for Parks and Rec to hopefully reframe the conversation. So Jovi, if you want to play that real quick, and then I'd love to get Jamie's take on that and see what she has to say. Go ahead, Jovi.
When we talk about essential services, what comes to mind? Police, firefighters, healthcare. But there's another essential service, often overlooked, yet always present. Parks and recreation. Parks and Rec is health. It's the walking trail that lowers blood pressure, the recreation center where seniors fight isolation, the swim lessons that prevent tragedy before it happens. This isn't a luxury, it's a lifeline. Parks and Rec is safety. A playground instead of a street corner, a basketball court instead of trouble, a summer camp where every child belongs. It's not just about activity, it's about protection, prevention, and possibility. Parks and Rec is community, the festival that brings neighbors together, the cultural event that teaches respect and diversity, the open space where a city breathes It builds bridges where division once stood. It gives people a reason to gather, to connect, to care. And Parks and Rec is economics. It strengthens property values. It drives tourism through events and trails. It saves on healthcare costs. Every dollar invested multiplies, feeding back into schools, into safety, into growth. Essential service is not just about survival, it's about thriving. And Parks and Recreation is where thriving begins. In wellness, in equity, in culture, and in joy. Parks and Rec isn't extra, it's essential. For our health, for our safety, for our communities, for our future. A message from the Parks and Recreation community.
All right. So what's your take on that, Jamie? Anything to add?
No, I definitely think it's very impactful and powerful. And you're right. I do wish more legislatures would be able to, receive that message and, hopefully reframe some of their initial thinking on this field.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let's brag a little on IRPA. What's been your experience? Last year was your first year, and now what do you think about it this year? And what kind of encouraging words would you have to get people to this event?
So I definitely think this is an amazing place. I mean, you can come and not only the education sessions down to seeing different things that potentially could help out your specific entity here in the exhibitor hall, or even the networking possibilities. I feel like, part of, the field in recreating is coming together and collaborating, and it's nice to be able to have this opportunity to have so many people in the field and be able to, because again, for finance, there's typically one of you in an entity, two if you're lucky. So your pool for collaboration is a lot smaller than say a rec department where there's a dozen different employees in it, and that's at every agency. So it's nice to have those opportunities to, do the social networking, to then say, hey, we're thinking about doing this, a policy update. And it's like, oh, we just did that. And it's like, would you be able to share? So it's having those connections, having those education sessions that will help you, go into and reinvigorate and revitalize what you're going to be doing when we go back into the office on Monday.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show today and sharing your accounting knowledge with us. And hopefully we can get more great accounting brains to come hang their hat in the Parks and Rec industry like yourself. I really appreciate all that you're doing for your local community.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on the show today.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks a lot. You close us out, Jovi.
It didn't start with a studio, or a big budget, or a perfect plan. It started with belief. Belief that stories matter. Belief that voices deserve to be heard. Belief that community is powerful. What began as a single conversation has grown into something far bigger than us. Today we pause, we reflect, and we say thank you. To our guests, thank you for showing up, for being honest, for trusting us with your stories and letting the world hear them. To our partners and sponsors, thank you for standing with us when the vision was still taking shape. Your belief gave this network its foundation. And to our audience, the ones who listened, who watched, who shared, who believed. You didn't just support DPRS Media Network, you built it. This past year changed everything. We grew our shows, we raised our standards, we reached new communities, and we told stories that needed to be told. From Parks and Recreation to sports, youth, technology, and culture. We learned something important. Growth isn't about numbers, it's about impact. As we grow, our mission becomes clear. Our mission is to create media that matters, media that educates, media that inspires, media that connects people through honest, human storytelling, to spotlight the people, the programs, and the ideas shaping parks, recreation, sports, and the future of our shared spaces. And our vision is bold. We envision a media network that doesn't just document the world, but helps shape it, where local voices spark global change, where communities see themselves reflected, and where media is a force for good. The future ahead is bigger than any single episode. More voices, more stories, more collaboration. Live events, original films, deeper conversations, and a growing community united by purpose. From episode 1 to episode 400, thank you for believing when it was hard. Thank you for staying when it was uncertain. And thank you for walking this journey with us. This is DPRS Media Network, built by community, driven by purpose, powered by stories. And we're just getting started.